Welcome to Stringing Along. I'm Jim Donio.
And I'm Ronnie King.
Before we get started, we want to thank our new sponsor again. This is MCS Residential Contractors and string band veteran Greg Meisinger. MCS provides excellence in pre-construction, design development, construction, and quality controlled services. They will work with you, they'll work within your budget, they'll follow all the safety procedures, but they will do everything in a professional manner and they will deliver a great final product for you. You can contact them at the number that's coming up right now on your screen. Estimates are free. They are licensed and insured, and all staff are OSHA Hour 30 trained. Thank you so much, Greg. We really appreciate your support. And let's move on, Ron.
Let's move on. Well, as it was teased last week in our program, this week's program was supposed to be part 2 of Anatomy of a Theme, Say It with Music. And that would be encompassing of our arrangers and musical directors. But we looked at the calendar, we hit some time constraints. We want to make those programs especially correct as we can. So with the time constraints and Christmas week right upon us, we decided to make a little change in our program for this week. Tell them about it, Jim.
Yes. So as Ron said, we kind of took a pause and we thought, if we're going to take a pause, why don't we do a show and conclude with some celebration of Santa Claus? Get it? So in any case, tonight we are going to be serving up, get it? Serving up the holidays. Yes, we're going to focus on food-related themes. We're going to talk about how we each celebrate traditions with our family and our friends. There have been, over the years, a lot of bands have done food-related themes, whether it was taking place in a busy restaurant or in a kitchen. There's a lot of elements there where we look at the menu and there's the salad and there's the entree, even dessert. And speaking of dessert, there are some people like me, for instance, sometimes I just like to have my dessert first before I have my meal. So that's a great way to start the show, right? Let's take a look first at the Duffy String Band from 1998 with their theme, Tasty Cakes. Let's take a look. Ron, what do you think? Does it make you put you in the mood for either baking or eating a cake?
Um, Eating always, baking not my thing. I got to tell you, you know, everything there, if it were real, I probably would have eaten. I'm a sweets guy. I love sweets. In fact,
Me too.
I'm diabetic and sweets are terrible for me. So I try not to go there at all. But I love this theme. This theme is so much fun and so creative. And if there was ever a theme that was, if the whole theme were punny and not just the title, this would probably be the grand champion. I
Mm.
love this theme. Uh, you got to talk about some of the things that you've seen in that, Jim.
It's a really fun show, and I honestly, when we to kind of explain to our viewers, we have some fans now of the show. Every week as Ron and I contemplate, what we're going to do, and we do plan several weeks out, and we start to do our research. As much of mum freaks as we are, as string band freaks as we are, there's some shows that we come up with the idea and then we go back and look. And this is one I didn't remember. I didn't really remember this, but going back and watching it again, Duffy has been really, I think, one of the unsung heroes of creative string band themes. I don't think they've gotten enough credit for the way that they've developed some of these ideas. Of course, this one was led in 1998 by the late Captain Ted Kudrick. And just look at this. It kind of just comes at you. So there's the strawberries, who's in the Strawberry Patch with Sally, so strawberry shortcake. And I think it was When the Saints Go Marching In. Was that right for the angel food cake? I know the angels come out. And then there was the Devils. So for Devil's Food Cake, that's pretty clever. And the pineapple upside down cake with Carmen Miranda. But there were two in there. Maybe you all thought the same thing as you're watching it, because I watched it and Ron and I did our pre-production meeting, and I'm not getting the pirates, Ron. Like, what is up? What cake has to do with pirates? And of course, Ron gives us the answer. What is the answer?
Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum. It's rum cake. It's
Cake.
actually rum cake.
Rum cake. Oh my God. And then we see the Keystone Cops. So again, I'm scratching my head. And again, Ron comes through with the answer, which is?
Well, this one had me for a while myself. I couldn't figure it out either until I really I kept on looking at it, looking at it, looking at it. And then I saw the foil hat, the pleated foil hat that you would see a cupcake in. And it was not just any kind of cupcake, it was a cop cake.
Yeah.
And I just set off laughing. It's just hilarious.
Cop cakes. These are, I mean, we're going back now. This is 20 plus years ago. But again, I think hopefully, as you are all watching these shows every week, hopefully you're doing what we're doing. We're remembering or not remembering some of these great shows, and it's inspiring us to go back and watch some of these again. Now, you just saw it come up and you sat there through the 4 minutes of it. Maybe you missed some of these things, but go back and watch it again. Extremely creative in the music, in the execution, really inventive costumes. So definitely, I'm going to say we're giving it 2 thumbs up for our first serving up the holidays. We got a great serving of some great cakes from Duffy. So what's up next, Ron?
Well, what's up next is that at the start of the new century here, Hegeman String Band takes us out for a fine dining experience at a place that may be familiar to some. It's a place called the Harmonia Gardens in New York City. And their theme for 2000 was called Be Our Guest. Take a look. What'd you think of that, Jim?
Yeah, this is, I mean, these food related, dining related themes. And, you know, this was Ron, one of Ron's ideas. We had planned to do it later on, but it just seemed, you know, appropriate as a holiday show to talk about food and eating and whatever. But they're very, like you said, they're punny, but they're satirical. They're really interesting in the way, in the choices that they make, and we'll talk about this actually with Hegeman's and the next two as well. The score, so the songs that are chosen, typically with a theme, the songs are chosen because of the sound or they're chosen because of the title. A lot of these songs in these food related themes are chosen because of some of the lyrics that are in the songs. that there's, a phrase or something in the song that relates to food. And then, there's obviously singing involved from time to time. But for Hegeman, we're talking about the holidays. Hegeman, I was in Hegeman for a long time, is a strong family band, and we wanted to acknowledge some of the family ties that are part of Hegeman, and particularly in this year.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the show on television, okay, you get a nice close up of some prominent families that have been in Hegeman for a long time. There's a close up of Tim Stein, and then just a little bit after there's a close up of Ken Stein, brothers in the band. They've been there for, so far as I know, they've been in this band all their lives. I mean, they've never been.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up, we grew up together. They were, a little younger than I was, but we grew up together in the band. And their dad, Ken Stein Sr., was, such a devoted, wonderful man, great friend, just a terrific musician. He had come, I believe, from Greater Bucks. Actually, here's a little trivia point. I believe Ken Stein Sr. was actually in Greater Bucks the year that Greater Bucks became the first non-association band to win first prize. But anyway, tell us some more of what you observed or thought about this Be Our Guest.
Well, the first thing you can't miss is longtime captain, longest serving president of the String Band Association, John Pignotti, also in this band all of his life with his father, Pop Pignotti, as he was lovingly referred to as. Mom Pignotti with the meatballs all the time. We're talking about food. If there was anybody in Hegeman back in that day, back in when I met John and those guys, I met all those guys back in 1979. And I met Johnny Robeson that year. I met John Pignotti and a whole host of other guys, really super people. And like Jim says, more recently, a real family oriented band. And some of the things that we noticed about this theme is that even though the concept or the idea is relatively the same, each band approaches it in a different way. Yes, you're going to see some chef costumes that look similar to one another, but like what Jim was talking about, like Hegeman sings Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Now we're going to see another band sing a different tune, but with that Shake, Rattle, and Roll, they did this stomp. If you remember the show Stomp with the brooms and the trash can lids, they did this stomp inspired thing with the pots and pans, which is really cool. It's very rhythmic. It's fun. One of the other things that Jim refers to is the shish kebabs with saber dance. And they come out doing a sword dance. And
how clever is that? How clever is that to do like a mock sword fight and play the song Saber Dance. They also do like Hey Good Looking, What You Got Cooking, How's About Cooking Something Up With Me. There's in a couple of these, we'll see it again coming up with Uptown. Using a can idea. Of course, Campbell's Soup is a very big brand in our area in Philadelphia and South Jersey area. But particularly, you made reference to the Harmonia Gardens. So for those theater and movie fans out there,
right?
So the Harmonia Gardens is a restaurant that figures prominently in the show Hello, Dolly, the Broadway show, as well as the film. It's, Dolly comes back to the Harmonia Gardens after a long absence, after she's widowed, and she returns, and that's when they do the big title number of Hello, Dolly. But there's also a signature, very intricate and pretty long dance sequence called the Waiter's Gallop, where they're carrying around trays on their hands, and they're doing these dances with towels and so forth. So Hegeman did that in this theme in the year 2000. But so here's a trivia point. That wasn't the first time that Hegeman utilized that. If you will remember back 2 or 3 shows ago, Hegeman actually used that sequence in its 1983 theme, which was called Showtime in the Big, or On Stage in the Big Apple. I should know the title since I created it, On Stage in the Big Apple. But we did a Hello Dolly sequence then. And as we showed a few weeks ago when we had the 2 George Bowsers, George Bowser III played Hello Dolly. So, this is 17 years later. And this is, I think, another point that hasn't necessarily come up in our shows, but it's, I think, an important point, is that bands do go back and cherry pick from themes that they may have done 10, 15 years prior, and maybe there will be elements of those that they will now do again in much later years, because the arena is different, the props and the makeup and the sets, there are different tools at their disposal now. So even though they're repeating or recreating, some will repeat an entire theme. Quaker City won with Scarecrow's Heyday in '85, and then I think they came back with Back in the Hay, a decade and a half or so. I don't remember the exact year, right, in this
2009.
moment. Yeah, but much later. So the repeat of the Harmonia Gardens is a lot of fun in this, and of course the Beauty and the Beast elements in terms of Be Our Guest. So now we kind of carry it forward. So Hegeman does that in 2000. Be Our Guest is the title and is an important component. And guess what? 14 years later, when they do Hegeman's Household Havoc, Be Our Guest figures prominently again. So I guess there is a little bit of everything old is new again with string bands.
Along with more food in that theme.
Yes, we could actually have included that as part of this as well, because the Be Our Guest sequence from Beauty and the Beast, figures, has a lot of food elements in that. Well, anyway,
I love the girls coming out with the flags, and when they threw the flags up, because you really can't see them when they first come out, but then they throw the flags up in the air, and when they do that, the flag unfurls a little bit clearer, and you see that the flags have turkey on them.
And you're talking about now the 2014, not what we just saw.
I'm talking about the 2014.
The Household Havoc.
Well, look, we talked about this just a little bit last week with the costume designers. In fact, Sean Gracer had mentioned it, that when a band comes up with their theme and somebody says, well, we're going to do chefs. Well, it's been done 4 times, 5 times again. Yeah, but it's going to be done like it's never been done before.
Yeah,
and you managed to come up with different ideas for the same thing. And we're going to see that played out here as well.
Yeah, for sure. So now we're going to take you from dining downtown with Hegeman to Uptown's kitchen.
Shake,
So
rattle, and
Ron,
casserole. Shake,
shake,
rattle, and
rattle, and
casserole. Is that what you
casserole.
said?
It's shake, rattle, and casserole. So now, Ron, your Mrs. your wife, Stacy, she figures into this theme. Tell us about that, because we haven't. She made kind of a very quick guest appearance as a fangirl for Bill Bowen when we did his week, but we haven't really touched on the fact that you have you're a string band couple, and we haven't really touched on that.
We are a string band couple for sure, and it's where we met. We met at the Annunciation Church over in Belmar when I was a member of Trilby String Band, and she had come in with a group of people from Broomall, all great people, and a couple of them are my neighbors down the street. And we love talking about these old times and these memories, Gus and Lingall. So Stacy and I talk about themes a lot because it's what I like to do more so than she, but she's very instrumental, Jim. I mean that in a literal way as well. I tell people Stacy's a far more accomplished musician than I am. She is more classically trained. She played classical piano for 10 years. She plays clarinet, and she played tenor saxophone both in the University of Pennsylvania marching band. So she's got quite a background in music now. As far as themes go, sometimes she plays well in the spot where if I come up with an idea, she's got the songs, or if she comes up with the idea, I have the songs, and these things start rolling out. Well, this was her on her own who went to Uptown and said, hey, why don't you just take a look at this? And they did, and they liked it. They saw enough ideas in that theme to put it back on the street. And that guy, Ryan Radcliffe, their captain, Chef Radcliffe, if you will, I call him that guy. Chef Radcliffe, he's a great artist. He's a great imaginative person. And this Uptown band does something that we talked about with Hegeman, where Hegeman played Shake, Rattle, Roll. This band sings 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. And at the end of that line that's coming across the video, you see one chef that's a little bit more animated than the last. She's carrying a tenor saxophone. That would be my missus. That would be Stacy at the end of that line there with Uptown. But they also do this. They also they're also playing. They incorporate classical music into their theme, right? They're playing Dance of the Hours. Now, if you could tell me why they were doing it, I'm not really sure. At that point, Ryan is reaching into a spice box and throwing spices all over the place. But I think what you said is very true. Sometimes it doesn't matter what the title of the song is, it's how it sounds. So Dance of the Hours, I think, is that from Fantasia?
I'm not for. Yeah, you got me. You got me on that. I'm not sure.
It may be from Fantasia, but nonetheless, I learned this from a gentleman we were speaking of earlier, Johnny Keene from Quaker City. He used to school me on the judging, and I learned things from him that I thought I already knew, but I never knew at all. And John Keene said, they don't care what you're playing if it is matching the visual. So that's what goes on with Uptown a lot. There's some sound effect music in the beginning where Ryan is chasing the chicken with a giant cleaver. I mean, if I'm a child on the sidelines looking at that, I don't know that I'm too thrilled about this.
Yeah,
but it's funny. The whole theme is really tongue in cheek.
Yeah, this one, I think more so of all the 4 that we're featuring. But they also do the someone's in the kitchen with Dine. I'm not a great singer. Someone's in the kitchen.
Why?
What is that? What is that song? The song. What is the actual song?
I think it's Someone's in the Kitchen with Dinah.
But
why were they in there?
That's actually a song. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah.
But why were they in there?
Why were they in the kitchen with Dinah?
What's the next line?
Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah, strumming on the old
There you go.
banjo. There you go.
There it is.
I promised I would never sing on this show, but one of the other things that's interesting about this show, this performance, and I don't think it was the first, but it certainly was at a point where masks were really becoming much more prominent in string bands. I think they reached a point where, having to hire a makeup artist and having to reapply makeup all the way, up or down the street, depending on the year and the route of the parade, probably got more expensive or more involved. And by having these masks, then as they play, when they do shows throughout the year, they can just pull the masks out and not have to be constantly making up. So I think we saw that as well. This is another instance of the can. This time it was the lobster bisque, so they had a little bit of a play with that as well. And again, the singing and the lyrics, versus the song titles. So let's move on. We'll move on now to 1991, and it's going to be the Polish American String Band from Port Richmond. They were the defending champions. They had won in 1990 with Are You From Dixie? And now for 1991, they are going to present us with a gourmet meal that is well done. Let's take a look. what strikes you? What stokes your appetite from this particular one?
Everything. But the first thing that caught my eye, if I recall correctly, Polish American, this was my first year at Trilby String Band with my brother Joe King. Somebody told me when I say my brother Joe that they don't know who my brother Joe is.
Hmm.
So, okay, so it's Joe King. So Joe King and I and Bob King are at Trilby String Band, and we're getting ready to put on a theme called a shoe in, about different types of shoes. It was a shoe store, and they're talking about, well, what are we going to make Joey as the captain? I said, well, we'll make him a shoe cobbler. We'll get one of those little brimmed hats, and we'll get an apron. And my brother Bobby's like, you can't make a costume out of an apron. You got to have something else. Well, New Year's morning, we show up, and Polish American shows up with 60 aprons.
Yes.
So there was something wrong in my brother's thinking about whether you could make a costume out of aprons. Not to mention the fact that going deeper into it and seeing their other suits, they had beautiful. It's not the first time I saw it. I think there was something before that or just after. Again, going back to Duffy String Band, Polish American had beautiful three-dimensional costumes with the foam, cheese, and the food and
the
lettuce
utensils
hanging off.
and the
I mean,
utensils.
their bugles were, and they sounded great. I mean, for them coming off of their first prize in 1990 and coming back with this, this was a very creative theme. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before that, not a chef theme anyway. And I really enjoyed the show in its totality. It's really fun to watch, and it was different, especially for that time.
Yeah. So before I say anything about it, since you made reference to aprons, you need to show us your full regalia. This was a perfect segue. We didn't plan it exactly this way, but let's see the apron.
This is my my Christmas apron. So I got the whole Santa Christmas apron going on. I'm going to try and do a scroll like TJ does for us in the editing.
He's got the hat, he's got the tie, he's got the belt. I will not say he's got the belly because he's lost quite a bit of weight. Bravo, 2020 with all of its challenges for everyone. Ron has made a very strong effort of focusing on his health and well-being, and has really lost a lot of weight. So it's not, you don't have Santa's belly, but the apron is cute anyway. So for PA with this, so you got them coming in with life is just a bowl of cherries. Okay, so that's cool. They're dressed as chefs. And of course, I think the signature, we talk about these moments of impact. We talk about things that the judges say, if you have me speechless for 10 seconds, that's a good sign. You're doing well. This bowl, this salad bowl, a chef's salad. Okay, they do literally a chef's salad with the way that everybody's kind of crouched down with the lettuce as the hat. Very, very unusual. The captain at one point is kind of a pheasant under glass, even though it wasn't glass, but like it was like a turkey or a pheasant under the dome of like a big pan or something like that. Here's something interesting also in terms of lyrics as opposed to song titles. So for PA, they do Let's Call the Whole Thing Off, which is a classic, I believe, a Cole Porter song, I think. But the lyrics from that, you say potato, I say potato. You say tomato, I say tomato. So by there being lyrics that make references to food, like if you're looking at the score and you're saying, oh, okay, it's a food theme, and you see Let's Call the Whole Thing Off, you think, God, they went and there, whoever suggested that. You've got to think further in and say, oh, it's because of the lyrics: potato, potato, tomato, tomato. It's like when a band, many bands have done, not actually many, but quite a few bands have done Angels, okay? And included as part of the theme, the song Cheek to Cheek. And you're thinking, Angels, cheek to cheek? No, it's the lyrics. Heaven, I'm in heaven, are the first words from Cheek to Cheek. So these themes really, they're deeper than they look in terms of, you've got to really think through them. They've got Food, Glorious Food from Oliver, which, to be fair, try to think of another song. If you're doing a food theme, okay, theme committee, we're doing a food theme. Try to come up with another song that has the word food in it, other than Food, Glorious Food from Oliver. So of course you're going to hear that. We got a little bit of a towel dance and rolling pins in this one as well. And of course we see the soup can again. So as Ron was saying, even though there are similarities, they're 4 different bands. The arrangements of the music are different. The sequencing is different. They were all, for me, I enjoyed coming back to them. I enjoyed remembering these 4 themes, particularly right now at this time when, there's just, a lot of, not the happiest of news. It was really fun to watch these. They were truly happy, enjoyable performances, I think.
They also pull a very popular song, which a lot of bands have done over the years as well. They pull a popular commercial song
right.
to insert into that theme, right? And they're not the only ones to do it. I have a couple of examples. So Polish American plays I Like Bread and Butter, which is the theme song of the Sunbeam Bread. And I'm going to tell you a little story about that. But they're not the only ones to do it. Trilby String Band in Piece of Harmony, we played the Coca-Cola song, I'd like to teach the world to sing.
Like to teach the world to sing.
Very popular back in the early 70s. And Frailinger at the end of Copa Banana plays a part of I Heard It Through the Grapevine, because those California raisin commercials were huge, the claymation and everything like that. So it's fun to do that as well, because you think you have a hook, and sometimes it really does work. And getting back to the Sunbeam Bread commercial, when Jim and I were talking about it, I said, I have a funny story about the Sunbeam Bread commercial, because and a couple of weeks ago we had Women in String Band. When one of the first young ladies to march in the string band, she was maybe 12 at the time, and her name is Shelley Monahan. And she was a dancer for the South Philadelphia String Band's Toy Soldiers on Parade in 1978, her partner, Anthony Babau. And I actually gave her a call to see how she's been doing. I wanted to know, I was trying to track down the actual Sunbeam Bread commercial that she was in. She said it was in 1982. I really couldn't find it. Again, time constraints. That's how we wound up with these hats on and everything like that. So, but it's fun to make. Now we're playing like 6 degrees of string bands, right? Like we can connect Polish American's food theme to a person who marched with South Philadelphia and then bring it right back to Polish American again. But yeah, it's been really fun to watch these teams again.
It's true. And, you said about this kind of 6 degrees, and, we do try to connect the dots. But this was a fun, I'm so glad that Ron suggested that we kind of take this detour as the holidays are approaching. We all have our own holiday memories and holiday traditions and rituals and things that come up. But before we'll kind of maybe touch on a few of those at the end. But before we do that, we can't have a holiday show. We can't wear these hats and aprons and ties without showing a couple of Christmas themes. So in the 120 years, believe it or not, 4 times, only 4 times that we can say there were Christmas themes. I think part of the reason for this is, and this is just, maybe it's just my thought, there's nothing older or feels more out of place than hearing Christmas carols the day after Christmas or 2 days after Christmas after you've been hearing them for like 6 weeks or 8 weeks. I think that, and then you've got to also, as a string band, you've got to carry that theme out through the course of the year as well. So that may be part of the reason that bands, haven't done a lot of Christmas themes, but there have been four. First, 1958 was Christmas in Killarney by Garden State. 1979, Season's Greetings by Greater Overbrook. 1993, Elves Winter Workout by Palmyra, South Jersey. And the most recent, 2011, was, love this title, Irish You a Merry Christmas by Durning. So we picked two to show you right now, and then we will chat about them. So let's take a look at Greater Overbrook and Durning's Christmas theme performances. what's your thought about how bands have approached, doing Christmas? Do you agree with me? It part of the reason, or maybe the reason there haven't been that many is, New Year's just seems like you're doing Christmas. Christmas is over, and it wouldn't maybe present well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Uh, I think I could say I agree with you almost 100%, because I think that one of the hooks, if you're doing a Christmas theme, is you need to have Santa Claus. And by that time, some people, they're all Santa Claus down.
Mm-hmm.
I think I do remember an idea floating around one of the bands that they were going to do a toy theme, and they were going to tie it to Santa Claus. Santa Claus was going to be the captain.
Oh.
And they thought about it, and they thought better of it, saying, this is not the direction we want to take that theme. And I think it was actually panned for a year or two, and then they actually did the theme that they chose without the Santa Claus character. And again, it might be a smart idea not to push the envelope with the Santa Claus. I mean, you've been seeing them now since prior to Thanksgiving Day, all the way through the month of December.
Yeah.
And it does seem odd that Santa Claus would be out of place in a Mummers New Year's Day parade, but he kind of is.
I think so.
Maybe not
Yeah.
totally. I think I've seen some comic clubs and maybe some fancy groups do Christmas.
I was going to say, yeah, definitely
not with the string bands.
Yeah, definitely more so with the comics. So on the Greater Overbrook one, and then we'll touch on Durning. So interestingly, I actually joined Greater Overbrook. I was in Greater Overbrook for like a year and a half or so, and I joined after New Year's. So after this Season's Greetings 1979 theme, I joined a couple months later. And so
Did you win?
I'm sorry. No, it didn't win, but that wasn't my fault because I wasn't there. I came after New Year's. So I wore this I mean, as everyone knows, not this year, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, but string bands perform all throughout the year to raise money. And, the lion's share of the time, you're wearing the current suit, whatever the suit is that you wore on that New Year's Day. So we were wearing this Christmas Season's Greetings suit, all through the spring and, all through the summer. And I got to tell you, wearing that suit in 4 parades on the 4th of July, it was the hottest. It was just the hottest suit I think I've ever worn. And, these suits costumes are designed to be worn in frigid temperatures. The other thing about this particular year was this Christmas tree. So Captain, Luke McDermott, I mean, it's a very clever idea. So they didn't go with the Santa Claus as Durning does. They go with, okay, we're going to put Luke inside a Christmas tree. And it is a clever idea. And it was a beautiful, a really beautiful suit.
Yeah.
But they opened it. I mean, the whole, I guess, idea was the element of surprise that, wow, the captain's inside of a Christmas tree. But it's open as they're walking up to the starting line. So you see him now. I know nowadays the judges thing comes down. So I don't know whether that was the case in 79. I don't think it was.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong. Someone will tell me. But so if they saw him inside the tree and then he closes it and then they come in to the judging area and the tree just sort of sits there. There's a little skit with 2 kids getting, an accordion and a banjo for Christmas. But I just think there was a missed opportunity there. I think they could have had him, come out of the tree, and maybe the tree stays there and gives him an opportunity. But you were saying, Ron, there were rules. There were rules 41 years ago that would probably not have permitted that. They subsequently changed them, right?
Yeah. Back then, Captain, once they put that back piece on at Marconi Plaza, they pretty much had to carry it all the way, and especially in their themes. Now, we've seen some things go on in themes throughout the years where a couple of captains might have had some mechanical issues or suit issues, and there was some controversy over one captain being helped and everything like that, because that would get you disqualified. That's just what the rules were back then.
Yeah.
I remember 1975, it was a windy, cold, rainy day, and Garden State does Calliope of Magic, and Ralph Anello's Calliope snaps on him and it
I
breaks
remember
and falls
that.
to the ground.
I
And
remember
guys
that.
went to go and help him, and they're being shouted off, don't touch him, because
Yeah.
if they would have touched him to help him,
He would be
would have been,
disqualified.
at least he would have been disqualified.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
we all have seen, I've had suit malfunctions that guys are still joking about now. Now, not malfunctions that would, of things that would break, but I almost fell down. And we know that one of our good friends, Freddie Lom, back in 1981, slippery pavement, right, comes out. This guy's full of energy. He wants to win this parade, and he almost does so, but he did it on his back, and it was a nasty fall.
Yeah.
So the rules started to change after that. I think it was a thing where, like you're saying, he had the option. Well, he didn't have the option, Luke did, to come out of that. But give that theme 10 years, and Luke could have come out of that tree and done a dance
something,
as many captains have done.
Yeah, I mean, I think about Bob Shannon in the Quaker City Welcomes the World, where he drops the world down, and they do the song where he's turning around the world. But what he's doing during that is he's changing to be William Penn for Philadelphia Welcomes the World, and he opens it back up. So, Luke could have changed to Santa Claus. I mean, there could have been some other elements with that.
How many times was that used? So Bob has the ball. What year was that? 76. That was 76, right?
Yes, I believe it was 76. Yes.
So was it either before or after that Jim Dryden uses the same mechanism as the Ballroom Reflections?
Ballroom Reflections. So Ballroom Reflections was 73. What I want to say about this before we move on to Durning, though, is, so we're talking about like malfunctions or things that, people falling, things don't work. So also in this Overbrook theme, unfortunately, so Palmyra won in 72 with an awesome gimmick of all the back pieces, dropping down, and they form this like huge old-fashioned looking fancy captain's ensemble. In this case, they just were, dropping the backs down, and they do, that little sequence as part of the Christmas theme, the season's greetings theme. But unfortunately, one of them doesn't come back up, and the poor guy is like continuously trying to get it to click back up. And that's distracting. I mean, I think a judge would say, well, it's no one's fault, but it does distract from it. What about Durning? So Durning, very creative, a combo idea of Irish with Christmas, great title, Irish You a Merry Christmas. I was impressed with how they were able to, with the score, how they were able to combine songs that we know, but in the way that they played them, they could go from an Irish cultural, an Irish theme tune that we know, and segue into a holiday song, or vice versa, and change the arrangement. I think the arrangements were really good for this theme, and this is another one that just made you smile and was just a lot of fun. Before we conclude, what do you think of this? What did you think of this one?
Well, not the first time it's been done, but in this era. So we have a band that's doing the same theme that a band did 50 years before. It's 1958, the Garden State String Band. As Jim said, my father was captain of that band. And, Durning, over the last several years, it's been a long while now that Durning's been on quite a roll of very creative ideas. And we used to say in a couple of bands that I was in, if you can't beat them with your music, then you're going to have to try to beat them with your show. And if you can come up with a creative enough show and something that's really fun, and it captures the judge's attention, you'll do well. And Durning has. And this is an example of them having fun with a theme that hadn't been done in a long time. Again, they have the options of wearing different types of costuming than they wore back then. Back then they were wearing all back pieces. Now we're not wearing back pieces. I think this music, you talk about the music arrangement and going back from style of music to different styles of music, different meters, different tempos. And I think the arranger of that, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that I am, was a guy who is, his name is Rob Carroll. And Rob Carroll is also one of Philadelphia's Ben Franklin's. He's quite a historian and quite a musician, and he did a really great job with the music there. And the costuming, look, the costuming is really, really cute. I loved it. It was entertaining, and I haven't watched that one again, just like I haven't watched some of these in a while. And all of these themes really, they brought back some memories and everything like that. And I really got charged up to watch, like, say, Overbrook, just to digress for a second to Overbrook. And you're talking about 64 back pieces. The band is beautiful. That's what we really harken back to the old days. The old days are the 80s. The old days are maybe mid 70s and then back. Because you see a totally different type of string band. But then you see us bring it up to the current times, and you see the addition of all the props minus the back pieces, and how some things in these themes are even made more creative by the props that they're using and costuming. So it really was fun to watch that as well.
Well, that brings us to the end of another show. We do want to thank our sponsor again, MCS Residential Contractors. And as I've said earlier, their president, who is a string band veteran, Greg Meisinger. Again, excellence in pre-construction, in design development. It's just a terrific company. They will work with you within your budget. Safety procedures are top of mind. Very professional. Everything is done to your specifications. You can contact them at the number that's on your screen. Once again, estimates are free. They are licensed and insured, and all staff are OSHA Hour 30 trained. We all have, our own holiday traditions and memories. For my own part, we don't have time to tell a lot of our stories from our years growing up, but I love this time of year. I love Christmas, obviously love New Year's, and we're just really happy to be having the opportunity to do this show. We will do a show next week that will touch more on New Year's in particular. But for now, for my part, I just want to wish everyone at this, really special time, but a very, very difficult year for everyone, to have a very happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. Just enjoy the moment, because it's been a really, really difficult time for everyone. So for my own part, I wish you all the best for the holiday. Ron?
Well, when I talk to Jim about this program, we go back and forth practically 3-4 times a day, every day. And we're just knocking around ideas. And to me, that this project is very personal, and you know, I thank Stacy and Larry for allowing us to indulge ourselves in this project. Um, you know, Jim was sharing a couple of Christmas memories with me, and that's the idea I really wanted to get into with this. When it's related to the food themes, my mother's family is all Italian. I think my mother was the only one in her family that married out of her uh, nationality, and my mother married an Irish guy. And you know, but when we have our celebrations, especially Christmas, it starts, you know, 2 o'clock in the afternoon with the first serving of antipasto, and dinner's not over until 10 o'clock at night. And if you can walk after that,
Mm.
you either didn't eat or you're just damn lucky. So that's my food related memory, except for, you know, I told Jim, I said, you know, these memories and these personal things that we're sharing don't have to just be related to this particular holiday, because for mummers, I don't know if Jim knows this. You do realize that the kickoff of mum season is September, right? Like when
Yeah.
September 1st runs around,
Yes.
we're in mum season. So for these 4 months, that's all it's about, right?
Mhm.
So my holiday starts then, back in September, and they start running up. You get ready for Halloween, food related with candy and everything like that. We even wanted to show some bands with candy related things. Then Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was a big deal in my home. My father was the chef on Thanksgiving Day. You were not allowed in the kitchen. You could only help, but only at his direction. And that was it. And there was never a problem. And Thanksgiving dinner was always awesome when my dad made Thanksgiving dinner. And it was fun. It was a big family. And that takes me up to Christmas. When I was very young, I am one of 10 children. I am number 9 on that list. My mother and father used to make all of us wait up at the top of the steps and call each one of us down to open our presents one at a time, oldest to the youngest. Now imagine me and my baby sister Charlene. They might put up a picture of us so you'll see us with Santa Claus, which by the way, I think Santa Claus is my brother Bobby working at the 5 and 10. That's where we had the picture taken. But one at a time, we would get called down. As soon as the first one would get their first gift and open it up, then the next one would come down. That was really a hell for the younger ones, but it was so much fun. And these memories are cherished, and we miss our loved ones that are gone.
Yeah.
And but we you know, we keep them in here. So I just want to say this, and then I'll be done. Okay. To my wife Stacy, who puts up with more stuff than she really should, I love you and Merry Christmas. To my daughter Gab, you're everything to me in this world. I told you Daddy loves you with all my heart and more than life itself. And you just be doing what you need to do. To my family, to my remaining family, Tom, Helen, Elena, Rita, and Charlene, and all of your families, God bless you. I love you all. And we'll see you next week for another show. Thanks,
That's
Jim.
great. That's great. So to my husband Larry, and my sister Marianne, and my sister Rita, and my nieces and nephews, you know, as with Ron, my parents are long gone, but you know, these holidays are the times when you know, it comes back to us. I think in this particular year, even more so. So you know, with that, we do have one more. I do have one more important note tonight. Something special has just you know, materialized just yesterday, and I want to alert people, because I think a lot of our viewers will be interested to know about this. So the Palandro Ferry Memorial Foundation has announced today the screening of the For Them documentary. Now, this was originally scheduled for March was postponed, obviously due to COVID. It's now going to take place virtually using Facebook Live and YouTube on Saturday, January the 2nd from 6 to 8 p.m. As you may know, this date is significant. It is the second anniversary of the very tragic accident that took the lives of South Philadelphia string band members Denny Palandro Jr. And Joe Ferry and Joe's fiance, Kelly Wisely. So this event is going to be free to attend. It's going to be emceed by DJ Jimmy Mulholland. So lots of music and fun and games. It will be a fundraiser for the foundation, and participants will also have the opportunity to win some prizes. Some cash will be prizes and some other fun prizes as well. If you would like more information, you can get it at the Palandro Ferry Foundation Facebook page or on the website. You can also contact Denny Palandro at his email address, which will come up on screen, if you would like more information. If you had tickets to the event that was in March, you can get in touch with Denny and he will explain to you, how the process is going to work for you to participate in this event. So once again, thank you all so much. We topped 4,000 total views. Yay, 4,000 total views this week. And so we're challenging ourselves and we're challenging our viewers. We would love to reach 5,000 total views by the end of the year. So by New Year's Day, we'd love to hit 5,000 views. So we have another show coming up next Sunday to help us to reach that goal, along with the first 8 shows as well. So again, happy holidays to everyone, and have a great evening. Good night. We'll see you next time for Stringing Along. Good night, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.